Tape this Ferrall and the Prophet podcast because I have no idea where the Prophet is. He's like a sneaky motherfucker. He's always like somewhere. He was in India at a wedding, and now I think he's like in Dubai, but I can't keep track of him. He's like that Helmsworth guy doing commercials with his hot wife hanging off a cliff of a building, or you know, the guy's just filming commercials, and he's all over the world. He's like a globe trotter. Your boy, the Prophet. I think that's that guy's name, the actor with the hot wife. Anyway, speaking of actors, how about your boy Kiefer Sutherland? What did he do? Beat up an Uber driver? So I guess they're saying he like attacked some driver in a car. They arrested him. They let him out on bail. This guy's had all kinds of problems with his temper over the years. I know what that's like. I have a temper. I have a Bob Knight type temper. But I wanted to say, speaking of Uber, is because I don't really give a fuck about Kiefer Sutherland and his problems. So I was in an Uber yesterday. And I was in Ubers all weekend in Pittsburgh, right? That's all I do. I fly to Pittsburgh, I stay in a hotel, and I Uber everywhere. I Uber, unless I stay right on the North Shore near the stadium, where I can walk to the stadium and go to the games. But then I'd have to Uber to the Penguin game, which is across town. Pittsburgh's not like New York City. It's a lot smaller. It's like, 2 million people in the whole Pittsburgh area. I think something like that, even if that. And then in New York City, there's 10 million people in 5 boroughs, right? That's just in New York City. So New York City is an animal, and Pittsburgh's like amateur hour. But I love Pittsburgh. So I was in Ubers all weekend, but I'm in this Uber going to the aeropuerto to catch that big jet airliner, that jumbo jet airliner, back to New York City. And I had I had like a 10:20 flight or something like that in the morning. And it was like raining out, and it was bad weather. And this dude picks us up at the hotel, and we put all of our luggage in, and then we get out into the, out of the parking lot of the hotel and get into the streets, and we're headed toward the Parkway in Pittsburgh to go to the airport, and this dude's window fogged up, like really bad, like you couldn't see out the window. And I'm like, is this shit happening? Is this fucking guy gonna turn on his defroster and blow that shit out of there so we can see and go, or are we gonna sit here all fucking day? The guy didn't know how to get the defroster going for his windshield. He literally was like fucking No Clue Jones. And my buddy's like, he first of all, he's told him to turn it on. Guy turns it on with cold air. First of all, it's pouring rain outside, 100% humidity, it's pouring rain. And the fucking thing's fogged up, and he's blowing cold air on it, which is making it worse. He needed to blow hot air on it, so he's blowing cold air, and nobody noticed. And then all of a sudden, my buddy's like, yo, bro, you're like blowing cold air on this bitch. Now, mind you, we're at a light. We're at a light coming out of the hotel. We're at a light trying to make a left to go onto the Parkway. And this dude's sitting there. Finally, the light changes green, and we're like the 5th car in line. And the guy won't drive because he can't see out of the windshield. But at the bottom, there was an opening, and I could see out of it. And I go, bro, I can see out of that opening. Fucking go. There's no one there. Make the left. And he goes, no. And I was like, he goes, I'm not safe. And I'm like, bro, you can see out the bottom of your windshield. Fucking look down and look out. There's no one there. Make the fucking turn. So he makes the turn, and my buddy turns it on hot, and the fucking heater finally blows the windshield clear. And we're off and running. And we get on the highway, and we're going. And we get on the highway, and it's bumper to bumper. And we're like, fuck me. So it's like bumper to bumper for like 3 miles, and we're not moving. And now we're getting to the point where I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to miss this flight. And finally, to save time here, the traffic dissipates, and it opens up, and everybody starts hauling ass. Except my driver, Grandma Jones. This dude was such a pussy that he drove, listen to this, it's a 65 mile an hour highway. People are doing 80 on this motherfucker. And this guy, I swear to God, on my mother's grave, was driving 40. 40 miles an hour in a 65 where people are doing 80. There were fucking people just blowing by us. It's a 3-lane highway. People just blowing by us. He's in the middle lane, driving like a bitch, doing 40 in a 65. At one point, I go, hey, listen, I'm in the back seat. I go, brah, I gotta get to this airport. I got a flight in like 25 minutes. I gotta get to this airport. Driving 40. So then we go another 5 minutes, and I said, I'm in the back seat, and I go, some chick just jogged past our car. Some chick's like jogging right past us on the parkway. I mean, I was joking, but he was going so fucking slow that people could have been walking past us. He was driving with both hands, driving 40, didn't know how to use a defroster, front or rear, and was just a complete penis. And then he got us to the airport. We barely made the flight. We're like running to the gate. And when we got on the plane, we're in first class. We gave him like a $2 tip, and then we gave him like a rating of 1. I don't give a fuck. Like, you suck. Like, I used to drive to the airport in this limo service that I use in New York to go to the airport. And I use it all the time. And I always get this dude, this same dude that drives fucking super cautious and slow, because like I'll have my family in the car, so he'll drive like, same thing. He'll drive 50 in a 65. And he drove faster than this pussy ass bitch doing 40. So I was saying, this guy's breaking all the records. I had a guy do 50. When you drive 50 in a 65, you're a fucking pussy. And when you drive 40 in a 65, you're a worthless bitch. If I'm in a 65, bro, I'm going 75, 80 every time. By the way, I got nailed in New York City with one of those fucking speed trap cameras, doing 40 in a 30. 10 miles over the speed limit, I got a ticket. Fucking cocksuckers make me so mad. All right, I want to talk about a couple things here. One, it's the divisional round games. They're Saturday and Sunday. There's 2 games each day. So Saturday in Denver, it's the Bills and Broncos, reminding you that the Bills opened up as 1.5-point favorites. Now it's flipped to Denver minus 1.5. 45.5 is the total. The game's at 4:30 on CBS. Coffee break. I got to tell you, going into this, I already saw Josh Allen win by himself in Jacksonville, and betting against him is a dangerous way to make a living, boy. But I think Denver's defense, and playing at that Mile High and that lit crowd, he's going to have his problems. He's going to have count problems with the noise. It is absolutely on its ear in Denver, plus the thin air and everything else. And I got to tell you, I think obviously Buffalo can go in there and give them a tough game. And I know that Allen is way better than Nick's. But to me, this is about Denver's defense and that crowd fucking up Josh Allen. Right now, that's where I'm at today. It's, Thursday, and I think Denver's going to give them problems. I think Denver can beat them and go to the AFC Championship game. And remember, if the AFC Championship goes down and Denver wins this divisional, Denver's hosting the title game because New England's the number 2. Now, New England, we'll talk about that game in a minute. They're playing at home on Sunday. The other game Saturday is the Niners and Seahawks. And the Seahawks are laying 7. That is a fat number. 44.5 is the total. It's at 8 o'clock on Saturday night in primetime on Fox. Look what happened with the Niners last week in Philly. We had 6 points with the Niners, and they won the game outright. Whatever, 23-19. They won the game outright. You give them 6. Giving them 7, I think, is crazy. I just think it's crazy. Now, I do think Lumen Field is a bitch to play in, and I think that they're going to have their problems there against this Seattle defense. And this comes down to me. Will Darnold get it done as the number 1 seed at home with that great defense? And they got a great offense, too. They pass the ball. They sling it all over the field. And Jigba's unstoppable. They got a running game with Walker. They mean business. Can they get it done? Sure. So they need to prove it and get it done. But can you give 7 points to that Niner team? Now, they've had their problems with injuries and everything else. They lost Kittle to the Achilles. They got issues. But they won in Philly at the Link. If they can win there, they can cover in Seattle. Or do you think Seattle's going to blow them out? We'll find out on Saturday. Now, Sunday, I mentioned the Pats. They're at home against the Texans. New England's laying 3. 40 and a hook is the number. 3 o'clock on ESPN and ABC. I got to tell you, I went to that Steelers-Texans game. The Texans defense is shut you the fuck down defense. They're the 85 Bears. That is the best defense in the NFL. You will have no luck scoring against them. I do not believe that game's going over 40 and a hook. I do not believe that May's going to, tear them up and shred them to pieces and throw the ball all over the field. First of all, he didn't do that last week, did he? They got it done, fair enough. But now they're facing this beast. That defense is legit. The Steelers couldn't score. And at one point it was 7-6, and then at one point it was 30-6. They kicked their ass. And I think Stroud is every bit as good as May in this game. Like in terms of this game, can Stroud throw the ball and hit his receivers? He was hitting receivers left and right in that game against Pittsburgh. He did whatever he wanted. So, and Nico Collins left the game injured. It didn't matter. They still lit it up, and they still got it done. And, I mean, are you kidding me? They mean business. All I know is I think that's going to be a great game, and I think a lot of people think Houston can win that game. It's not easy playing in Foxborough, but can Houston pull it off? Right now, I would love that under and on Thursday and the Texans to pull off the upset. And then it would be, I think, the 2 best defenses in the AFC. The 1 best defense is Texans. 2 best defense in terms of who's the 2nd best. I think it's Denver in terms of their defense. I don't think the Bills' defense is the greatest defense I ever saw. I think Trevor Lawrence fucked that game up. At the end of the game, they had the ball. They could have gone down and tied it. Instead, the first pass he threw was a pick. Because he's a pussy. He's not a big game quarterback. And Josh Allen is. Texans D, Broncos D, those are the 2 best Ds. I think the Patriots have a good defense. I think the Patriots have a good offense. I think they're good at everything. That's why they got, 15 wins. Regular season 14-3, then they win the playoff game. So, and they said May didn't play well. If he doesn't play well against the Texans because of that defense, which he won't, they're going to lose. The second game is at 6:30 on Sunday. It's the Rams and Bears in Chicago. And the Rams are favored laying 3 and a hook. 48.5 is the number. And they're saying cold, 17 to 20 mile an hour winds. That's normal in Chicago, folks, at Soldier Field off Lake Michigan. That's just a normal, January day. So that's not like some significant, I've been at worse games there, like the Fog Bowl and freezing cold, 50 mile an hour wind games in Chicago. I've been to many of those back in the day. I went to all those 85 Bears playoff games and the 85 Super Bowl at the Superdome where they kicked the Patriots' ass 46-10. That defense was ferocious. But this team keeps getting lucky as far as I'm concerned. I don't deny they're good. 7 fourth quarter comeback wins. All they do is come back. I mean, the Packers had no business losing that game last week, but the Bears did them in the ass in the fourth quarter. I don't think they're doing that to that Rams defense. Not only that, if the Rams get a 21-3 lead, Stafford's going to put 40 on them because I think the Bears defense is ass, and I think the Packers fucked that whole thing up. They had that game won, fucked it up. The Rams won't fuck that up. I think that's why they're favored, and I think that's why a lot of people think Stafford is the MVP. He's going to go in there and get it done. It'll be windy, it'll be cold, but, when isn't it windy and cold in January in these outdoor games, right? That's just all there is to it. So I want to get down to other stuff. So that game is the last game of the weekend. I told you, 6:30 on NBC and Peacock in Chicago on Sunday. All right, real quick. I just want to go back. We told you, I don't know if I have, 4-1 last night. We made you all kinds of money. So let's do it again today. But last night, Toronto beat Indy. The Raptors covered. They won by 14. Cleveland blew out Philly and covered. New Orleans by 3 over Brooklyn. Pelicans covered 1.5. Chicago by 2 over Utah. The Jazz covered 5.5. Denver 118-109 over Dallas. Nuggets covered as a dog, getting 1.5. Cooper Flagg, an ankle injury in that game. New York lost to Sacramento 112-101. Kings covered 10.5. Brunson has an ankle injury. And the Clippers 119-105, winners at home, and they covered the 11.5 against the Wizards. Now, in terms of good games in college, that's all I want to give you. Purdue by 7 over Iowa. Iowa covered. VCU 84-75 over Rhode Island. VCU covered. Xavier, I told you yesterday on FU, would beat Butler. They did, and they covered 1.5. They won by 14. Georgia lost in overtime to Ole Miss. Ole Miss covered 10.5. Pitt beat Georgia Tech. I would have got that wrong. Kentucky over LSU. I told you LSU would cover. Kentucky beat them on a last-second full-court pass, turnaround jumper, boom, they hit it, 75-74 Wildcats. But the Tigers covered. I gave you Missouri on a ticket, boom, cash, 84-74 over Auburn, they covered, getting 1.5. As far as games that mattered, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm skipping all these other bullshit games. South Florida, 82-71 over East Carolina. East Carolina covered. We had the under in the LaSalle-Richmond game. Boom, that hit. 74-53 Richmond, the under hit. St. Joe's by 4 over St. Bonnie. St. Joe's covered. Western Kentucky, 87-72 over Missouri State. Western Kentucky covered. Louisiana Tech by 1 over Middle 10. Louisiana Tech covered as a 3.5-point dog. UAB over Tulane, 82-69. UAB covered. San Diego State, I told you yesterday on FU, would beat Wyoming and Laramie. They blew them out and covered 1.5. 74-57 was the final. Central Florida, 82-73 at Kansas State. UCF covered. I told you, Memphis doesn't lose at home. They beat Temple by 2, but Temple covered the 7.5. I did tell you the number was too big. St. Louis, 78-56 over Fordham. St. Louis covered. Rice blew out Texas San Antonio and covered. UCLA by 11 over Penn State. The Bruins covered. Northwestern lost to Illinois 79-68. Illinois covered. Arkansas blew out South Carolina and covered. Va-Tech lost by 1 at SMU, but Va-Tech covered. Stanford by 5 over North Carolina. I lost that game. That was the only game I lost last night. North Carolina blew that fucking game. Stanford covered 4.5. Texas Tech 88-74 over Utah. Utah covered. Texas, I gave you on a ticket and cashed. They beat previously unbeaten Vandy 80-64. That hit. Utah State 71-62 over Nevada. Nevada covered in that game but lost. Oregon State by 6 over Loyola Marymount. Oregon State covered 1.5. Michigan by 10 over Washington. Washington covered 12.5. Santa Clara 85-69 over Pacific. Santa Clara covered. Arizona, I told you they would win, and I told you Arizona State would cover 22.5, and they did. 89-82 Arizona. Duke covered 14.5. They beat Cal 71-56. BYU by 6 over TCU. 13.5 TCU covered. As far as hockey, Jersey I gave you. They beat Seattle in overtime 3-2. Buffalo I gave you 5-2 over Philly. Ottawa 8-4 over the Rangers. Would have lost that. But we gave you Vegas on a ticket, and they won in overtime. Stone the winner in the extra session for the Knights in LA at the Crypt. Coffee break, and I'll set you up for Thursday's games. All right. NBA, Memphis at Orlando. Orlando laying 4.5. It's on Prime at 2 o'clock today. 7 o'clock, Phoenix and Detroit. Detroit laying 6.5. Houston getting 4.5 from Oak City in Houston. Miami getting 2 at home from Boston. Milwaukee's at San Antonio. Spurs laying 7.5. Dallas at home laying 1.5 to Utah. New York at Golden State. Dubs laying 6.5. No Brunson tonight for the Knicks. Portland at home getting 4.5 from Atlanta. And the Lakers are laying 4.5 to Charlotte in Lipstick City. All right, college track, Liberty at 6 o'clock, laying 8.5 to New Mexico State. I'm just giving you games that matter. JMU at App State laying 1.5. Bobby Moe laying 5.5 at IU Indy. UTEP at Delaware laying 1.5. Elon at Northeastern, Elon laying 2.5. What else? Youngstown State at Wright State laying 6.5. Northern Kentucky laying 10.5 to Detroit. Oakland at Milwaukee getting 2.5. Green Bay laying 2.5 at Cleveland State. Maine getting 13.5 at Vermont. Charleston at Towson laying 2.5. Eastern Kentucky at Austin Peay, but please not on me. I like Austin Peay in this game laying 7.5, to be honest with you. South Bama getting 3.5 at home from Arkansas State. I like South Bama. Lipscomb, I like laying 8.5 at home against Bellarmine. Ferrall or mine, your favorite school. All right, what else? These games suck so bad. Eastern Washington at Weber State is part of the pay package. Check it out. And then Idaho at Idaho State. Idaho State laying 3.5. And Utah is at, let's see this game. This game is awful. At Utah Tech. Texas Arlington, rather, at Utah Tech. And Utah Tech's laying 1.5. Riverside at Liberty, or at Riverside at Long Beach State. Sorry, Long Beach State laying 5.5. Hawaii at Cal Poly. Cal Poly getting 6.5. And then Seattle laying 9.5 at home to San Diego. That's part of the pay package. Northridge, it's UC San Diego. UC San Diego laying 8.5. Gonzaga ranked 9th at Washington State. They're laying 18.5, 10 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Hockey, Vancouver's at Columbus. Columbus laying $1.71. Buffalo at home against Montreal. Montreal's actually favored, part of the pay package. Philly at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus $1.56. I like the Penguins tonight. San Jose at Washington. I like Washington. Seattle at Boston. I like Boston. Winnipeg at Minnesota. I like Minnesota. Calgary at Chicago. I like Chicago. Islanders are at Edmonton. I like Edmonton. And Dallas, I like it. Utah, Toronto, and Vegas, part of the pay package. Woo! That's everything. All right, the Australian Open, I guess, is starting. There's all kinds of tennis down under. Have at it. Very exciting. You're good to go on a Thursday. Ferrall and the Prophet podcast. I'm sure he's in Dubai and coming home soon. I can't keep track of the Prophet. Make sure you watch the Max Prophet and Prophet Play videos. Let's keep making money. Last night was kick-ass. 4-1 in pay picks. Everybody made fat stacks. Let's do it again tonight on a Thursday. Check out. Ooh.